now, but he's still here with the Yankees. As we speak, the Yankees and the Padres are talking about a Greg Vaughn, Kenny Rogers, and Mariano Duncan deal. There seems to be no doubt that this deal is going to be made sometime before the All-Star break. The Yankees really haven't let this bother them too much. Duncan, unfortunately, got off to a bad start with a bat, and they feel like they have to move him.
Well, a guy who knows a lot about being traded, David Cone, is the starter for the Yankees tonight. A year ago at this time, his career was in doubt because of an aneurysm in his pitching shoulder, but David Cone is definitely back.
Yeah, he's got better velocity now than he's had for a long time. On the 23rd of June at Detroit against the Tigers, Cone set a strikeout record for Yankee right-handers, punching out 16. He had a good four-seam fastball that was effective to left-handed batters, and as always, he's got that devastating slider that he seems to be able to call up anytime he needs it.
Cone will start tonight against a team he pitched for on 2 different occasions, the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays starter tonight, Juan Guzman, is coming off the DL. This is just his second start since getting healthy, and he's on a pitch count 80 maximum, and he's in tough tonight. The Yankees are in town, and one of their best hitters, Tino Martinez, is back in a groove again. He's on the Yankees. Toronto Blue Jays 4 games under 500 despite a $52 million payroll. Kind of a make-or-break series for them, many think.
Yeah, I'm sure it is a make-or-break series because they have to get it turned around. If they have any aspirations whatsoever to take advantage of Roger Clemens being here in Toronto, they've got to have a good series, and maybe 3 out of 4, which means they've got to sweep the rest of these games.
Yankees winning 3-1 last night as the Blue Jays take the field defensively. Let's show you the starting lineup for the New York Yankees, brought to you by GMC Trucks. Derek Jeter up in the leadoff spot, one of the very best. When he hits in the leadoff spot, leads the American League in on-base percentage. But the big story for the New York Yankees offensively this year has been Tino Martinez, a major league record 34 RBIs in April. Only Mantle and Maris ever hit more home runs by the All-Star break as a Yankee than Tino Martinez. O'Neill, Fielder, Chad Curtis has contributed. They can hurt you up and down the lineup.
Well, Guzman's got his hands full tonight with his Yankee lineup. Remember when Tino Martinez came to New York, they said, well, he'll never hit 30-run home runs again. That was a career year he had for Seattle. Well, that's not the case. Guzman's making his second start since coming off the disabled list. He had a fractured thumb. He suffered right here on the 28th of May against this same Yankee ball club. You see his base on balls to strikeouts. He's always been a guy that he's either really on with his control or nowhere near the strike zone. He threw last time out 3 innings against the Baltimore Orioles and had real good stuff. But because it was his first start since coming off the DL, they shut him down after 55 pitches. Defensively, the Toronto Blue Jays have Carter, Nixon, and Merced in the outfield. Alex Gonzalez has played very well at shortstop all year long, committing just 6 errors. And behind the plate, it's Charlie O'Brien who has done the majority of the catching lately. Benny Santiago was signed as a free agent to come in here and provide some stability behind the plate. But it's been Charlie O'Brien who has simply outplayed Santiago lately, and Gaston has put his name in the lineup more often.
As you can see, Santiago has played more but has produced less. Santiago coming off a career offensive year. You know the pitchers love to throw to Charlie O'Brien. He's caught 9 Cy Young Award winners, and gradually over the course of the season, he has assumed more and more of a starting role.
He had 2 doubles in the game last night, and he is going to catch Juan Guzman for the second straight start. Cito Gaston has been rumored to be on his way out. There's been a lot of talk about Gaston, the manager, and whether or not this is his final season. A lot of the players have really taken his side, and there have been a lot of discussions. No discussions like that in the Yankee dugout, of course. Joe Torre, the reigning World Series champion manager, all he's worried about is who's going to be on his team tomorrow.
Juan Guzman will get it going against Derek Jeter. Yankee shortstop and the reigning American League Rookie of the Year. Very solid second-year numbers for Jeter. Very similar to the numbers he had to put up at this time last year. Yanks one down into the left field corner, and the Yankees are off and running. Jeter on his way to second with a leadoff double.
Derek Jeter flat out loves hitting leadoff. He got a high fastball and hit it into left field. Joe Carter had to retrieve it, but Jeter has himself a leadoff double. That's his 13th double of the season. This ball is borderline high, but he really gets on top of it and hooks it down past Eddie Sprague at third base. It goes all the way down into the left field corner, and the Yankees jump off early against Guzman.
Out at second, Jeter, and the batter is Wade Boggs as Guzman misses way up and away. It has been a struggle, to say the least, for Wade Boggs. An infield hit last night, hitting just .246, 87 points below his career average coming into this year. He yanks one foul. Charlie Hayes has been getting some playing time, and there are many people, especially the people who cover the team on a day-to-day basis, who feel that Hayes should be playing even more than he is.
Yeah, Wade Boggs came out of spring training as the starting third baseman, and Joe Torre has basically gone to almost a strict platoon. That's a pretty good changeup right there. There's Charlie Hayes, who last Wednesday, actually a week ago Wednesday, hit a big home run to win a ball game. 6 home runs, 21 ribbies. Neither one of them are really tearing it up with the bat.
A 1-2 count from Guzman on Boggs with a Jeter out at second. Just underway here in Toronto. Misses down and away, 2-2. For Guzman, he was the ERA champion last year in the American League. After a disastrous 1995, his season was cut short last year by appendicitis. He missed the final month. Down low, 3-2. In the offseason, Blue Jay GM Gordash re-signed Guzman to a multi-year deal, and Guzman hasn't been healthy enough for the Blue Jays to decide whether it's a good deal or a bad deal.
Yeah, he had a bout of shoulder problems before he broke his thumb. Missed the start.
Full count pitch, and Boggs will foul it back out of play.
There's no question about Guzman's ability when he is 100% sound. He can overmatch hitters in a heartbeat. He fractured his thumb, as we mentioned, against the Yankees. Bernie Williams hit a comebacker and hit him right on the throwing hand and fractured the knuckle on the inside part of the thumb.
He gets Boggs. One down.
Well, you don't see Wade Boggs fooled that often when he gets 2 strikes. He generally stays back fairly effectively, but this is a good changeup. You can see how the ball ran down and away from Boggs. That's a big strikeout with that leadoff double poised at second.
So one down now as Boggs could not get Jeter over to third, and it's Bernie Williams, the hitter. He is just back off the DL himself. A hamstring problem cost him a couple of weeks. Made his first start since coming off the DL last night. And despite missing a couple of weeks, Buck, Joe Torre has decided to take Bernie Williams to the All-Star game, saying it came down to Williams and O'Neill, a couple of his own players, for that final outfield spot.
Joe Torre talked about managing the All-Star team as being the toughest job he's ever had. He said you always omit somebody, overlook somebody, or can't simply get someone else on the roster. But when I had to decide between O'Neill and Williams, it was really tough. He said their numbers are very similar. Williams hadn't been to an All-Star game. O'Neill had been to 3. And when I went to O'Neill and told him, I was hoping he would say, you know, I was looking forward to 3 days off with my family. Torre said, that's not what he said. He said, no, he didn't give me that satisfaction. So Bernie Williams will go to the All-Star game for the first time.
One of 4 Yankees on the way to Cleveland over the break. Guzman out in front of Williams, 0-2. A couple of looks back to Jeter and now to the plate. Well, you cannot talk to a manager who's been given the job of choosing an All-Star team without hearing them say, I know this guy's angry at me, and I know it was the toughest thing in the world to do, but you just can't make everybody happy.
No, but it's really difficult when you have one of those players on your own team.
The 1-2, and he got him. After the leadoff double, Guzman strikes out Boggs and Williams.
Well, it's interesting because both strikeouts have come with a changeup. Everybody knows Guzman's got a great fastball and a great slider. But 2 big strikeouts in the first inning have come on a very good changeup. Charlie O'Brien out with some words for his right-hander. Obviously, you don't want to let this inning get away. Striking out Boggs and Williams is huge after Derek Jeter got that leadoff double. Not out of the woods yet.
No, not with this guy. Tino Martinez, what a year he is putting together. You can see where he ranks in the power categories. set a major league record with 34 RBIs in the month of April, then went through a bit of a cool stretch in May, got it going again in June, and is rolling into the All-Star break with some huge numbers. Joe Torre says this guy has had 2 once-in-a-lifetime streaks already this season.
Well, Tino's the type of guy that will get big hits for you. Not only will he put up big numbers, but he'll get key hits. Hits against tough left-handers late in the game. Another changeup.
One thing to keep an eye on with Guzman is the thumb problem affected his slider more than the other pitches. And how many sliders have you seen from him so far in this inning?
We haven't seen any yet, but in his first start against Baltimore, he threw it quite often. I think it's just a matter of the situation right here. He's using fastball changeup.
Popped up on the infield, and Guzman's got a chance to get out of it. Underneath it, Ed Sprague, and the inning is over. Leadoff double is stranded. David Cone to face the Blue Jays when we come back to Skydome, scoreless midway through the first.
I have a lot of fun playing characters that are impulsive and dramatic, because the real me is pretty basic. I'm even a little practical. Like a while back, I noticed I had some flakes. So naturally, I started using Head & Shoulders. Of course, it helps keep the flakes away. And if it leaves my hair looking like this, why mess?
Did not score in the top half of the first off Juan Guzman. David Cone is on the mound to take on the Blue Jays, a team that he pitched for in both 1992 and 1995. Never spent an entire season with them. A look at the Blue Jay lineup brought to you by GMC Trucks. The Blue Jays are last in the American League in just about every offensive category you can imagine, including, I would imagine, career averages against David Cone. That's an ugly group number, just a 178 average. Joe Carter, Carlos Delgado notably have had a lot of trouble with David Cone. This is a team, Buck, in desperate search of some offense.
Yeah, it's been a problem all year long, and they brought in some National Leaguers they thought would help the offense, but that hasn't been the case so far. I don't care what league you play in, when you face David Cone, you got your hands full as a batter. Last time out, he had a rough start. He went against the Cleveland Indians, lasted 5 innings. He gave up 9 hits and 7 earned runs, but before that, he had a stretch of 14 straight starts in which he was really tough. You see, he's second in the American League in strikeouts to Randy Johnson. And the thing that Cone has this year that he was missing last year is that good fastball. Early in the spring, a year ago, he kept throwing, and the fastball wouldn't come out of his hands. He just didn't have good velocity, and he found out he had the circulation problem and eventually had surgery. But now he's got that good pop back. He'll throw the 4-seam fastball, the 2-seam fastball, a wicked slider from 3 different arm angles, and a very good split finger pitch. Let's take a look at the Yankees defensively behind David Cone. Chad Curtis is in left field. Bernie Williams returns to center field. He's going to make his first career All-Star appearance in Cleveland next Tuesday night. This is just his second start in the outfield since being activated 2 days ago. He had a hamstring problem. Joe Torre has said not only do we welcome Bernie's bat into the lineup, but we're thrilled to have his glove back in center field.
Williams getting back moved Chad Curtis to left. Tim Raines is on the DL, and Mark Whitten has been pushed back to the bench. Leadoff man for the Blue Jays is their center fielder Otis Nixon. Still going strong on the base paths at the age of 38. Fairly typical hitting numbers for Nixon over his last few years. He ranks second in the American League in stolen bases, behind only Bryant Hunter of the Tigers.
Well, Otis is a guy, like so many Blue Jays, got off to a slow start, but he has really come on here in the middle months of the season.
1-1.
Boy, if David Cone gets that pitch all night long, it's going to be a tough night for the Blue Jays. That running fastball down and away to a left-handed hitter, and Greg Costa, home plate umpire, called it a strike.
The 1-1 to Nixon, who bunts through it, a ball and 2 strikes. Nixon will use just about any weapon he can find to get on. He virtually never winds up with an extra base hit, so anything he can do to get to first, he'll do.
Now you see, this time he's trying to take it with him down the first base line, but bunts right through the ball. Never got a piece of it. Now you're going to see a different approach as he's going to try to slap at the left field.
Infielders have backed up a little bit on the corners. Cone out in front of 1-2 to Nixon. Greg Kosk thought about it. He moved that right arm just a little bit, then he put it back down.
Kosk got a little jumpy. He saw that slider headed toward the strike zone, but it stayed up a little bit.
Left field, base hit. As typical an Otis Nixon hit as you will find. Leadoff man is on for the Blue Jays, just as Jeter was on for the Yankees in the top half of the inning.
Now, the Blue Jays haven't had much offense to speak of, but lately when they have scored, it's because Otis Nixon has been on base an awful lot. Boy, that's a patented Otis Nixon base hit. Even though they're shading him the other way, Chad Curtis was well over toward the line. He still dumped one in front of the left fielder.
And now Nixon will try to do what he does best, which is run. Second in the American League, as you can see, behind 100 of the Tigers. Nixon with 30 or more steals in each of the last 10 seasons, as Orlando Merced fouls one back. And it's only recently, in the last 2 or 3 weeks or so, that the Blue Jays have seemingly acknowledged their offensive shortcomings and have started to play the short game a little bit more.
Well, for so long they had such an offensive juggernaut here in Toronto that they got away from any kind of imaginative offense. Now they've got to force the issue a bit. They don't have a whole lot of 3-run homers in this lineup.
Nixon not going, and Merced sends a fly ball high and deep to right. O'Neill going back will make the catch on the edge of the track. Nixon went back to first and thought about tagging, but did not risk it against the strong arm of O'Neill.
Well, Paul O'Neill made the catch in front of the warning track in right. Merced got underneath it just enough. Nixon had thoughts of tagging and going to second, but he kept his eye on O'Neill, and when the throw came toward second base, he retreats. Here's the play. You see Nixon sizing up the situation, quickly goes back and tags at first, but as he watches the throw right on the money to second, he shuts it down. You got to play with your head up. Otis knew that that ball was going to be a routine out, so he retreated.
So 1 on 1 out for the left fielder of the Blue Jays, Joe Carter. The batting average not where you would expect it. Same with the home runs. The RBIs have jumped up recently. Carter is on pace for a 100 RBI season. But he's been at the center of a small controversy in Toronto over the last few days, in recent polls in the local newspapers and so forth. Next to Cito Gaston, Joe Carter has taken more heat than anybody else, to the point where over the last 2 or 3 days Joe Carter has stopped talking to the media. You can see he's never had any fun against David Cone.
Now, Joe is one of the real supporters of Cito Gaston, and he felt a lot of the criticism Gaston has taken here is unfair. And then the poll came out in the local newspaper, and it asked about Gaston, whether he was the root of the problem, and it listed a bunch of different questions, and Carter took exception to that.
He has sent one way up in the air down the right field line. Kelly into foul ground to make the catch to retire Carter. 2 down, and Nixon still anchored at first. Still has the RBIs with a .239 batting average, and one of the big discussions has been, should Cito Gaston move Joe Carter down in the order? And Cito has said 1,000 times, Joe Carter won this team a World Series. You can't forget what he did. You can't punish him by moving him down in the lineup. One change Cito Gaston has made is to move Carlos Delgado, the young slugger of the Blue Jays, up in the lineup into the cleanup spot.
Now David Cone keeping a close eye on Otis Nixon. Cone has never been a guy that was really good shutting down a running game, but he's so good with his strikeout pitches that it's never been a major concern.
There goes Nixon. Throw down by Girardi. Got him. Otis Nixon thrown out to end the inning. Girardi guns him down, scoreless through 1 at Skydome.
For years, ESPN has been working to improve sports for the fan. Designed to extend the season for fans in places like frigid Lambeau Field, the Toasty Ball is heated by a small plutonium furnace. But at 130 degrees, it's too hot to handle.
But experiment guys in the American League.
Otis Nixon has a good jump against David Cone, and you can see Cone is very deliberate when he unloads, but Girardi throws a strike to Derek Jeter, covering the bag at second base. Otis Nixon caught for just the 9th time this season.
Brought the first inning to a close. Each team got the leadoff man on. Neither could even advance him a single base. Jeter doubled to lead off the first for the Yanks. Nixon singled for the Blue Jays. And here's the right fielder, Paul O'Neill, to begin the second against Juan Guzman. And he'll look at ball one. O'Neill putting together another good season. His numbers are almost identical to the numbers of Bernie Williams in that close call for the final All-Star spot. Down and away, 2-0. Some guys seem to get caught up in all the New York hype and all the controversy that George Steinbrenner can generate. Some guys seem to be able to play through it or stay away from it. Willie Randolph stayed away from it for all those years, and now Tino Martinez and Paul O'Neill seem to be able to keep out of the limelight.
Well, O'Neill says he doesn't read any newspapers, so that helps him out a lot. You remember last year, O'Neill and Torrey were supposed to be having a feud. Neither one of them knew of it because neither one of them read the newspaper.
Thought he had ball 4. 3-1's the count. Mariano Duncan heading down the tunnel, but still a Yankee, at least as of this moment. Down the left field line, that'll twist foul. Now, if Kenny Rogers gets up at the exact same moment and leaves the bullpen as Mariano Duncan heads down the tunnel, then maybe we'll have something.
We better keep our eye on him. This is what's going on. Going, Vaughn. Yankees set the deal for Duncan and Rogers for the Padres slugger. Greg Vaughn hit a pinch hit 2-run home run in yesterday's game for the Padres.
Got him. Another strikeout for Guzman. He has struck out 3 of the first 5 hitters he's faced tonight.
Boy, Guzman battled back from a 3-0 count. And you can see O'Neill had a good cut at it, but it's just that high pitch that he swings right through. Looked like another changeup. And so far, all 3 strikeouts have been with the changeup.
This is a different Juan Guzman than most of these veteran Yankee hitters probably expected to see, even though they knew he was coming off the DL. Are you still looking for your first slider of the night?
We haven't seen one yet, and that's kind of interesting.
Cecil Fielder, DH tonight for the Yankees, hitting in the number 6 spot. Like Joe Carter, his numbers, at least in terms of the home runs, not quite where you would expect them. Yeah, 1990 was a long time ago, but Cecil's had a 51 home run season. He is at 9 right now. And like Carter, in the final year of a very high-paying contract. A couple of 30-something sluggers will be out of the market in the offseason.
Well, Cecil has been the guy that you think about in the 90s when you think home runs. 37 home runs, 114 ribbies. That's what he has averaged.
Rips it down the left field line, but he's out in front, 2-2.
You remember all the way back in spring training, there was a controversy that Cecil demanded to be traded. He asked for a trade, and then he had a couple of days off. There was a misunderstanding. He was late for a workout in spring training, and that seemed to be all ironed out. Now he's just worried about battling Juan Guzman.
The 2-2. And it's fouled back. And it has been a career-long battle for Fielder against Guzman. This is shaping up as potentially not a good couple of days for Cecil Fielder. He's 3 for 35 lifetime against Guzman. And those numbers make his Roger Clemens numbers look great. He's 2 for 43 lifetime against Clemens. So this could be a difficult few days for Cecil Fielder. Low and a full count.
The reason he struggles so much against Guzman and Clemens is the fact that both of those pitchers throw hard and they can pitch upstairs. Cecil is very good down in the strike zone, and especially strong outer half of the plate. But Clemens, Henkin, another guy that can come upstairs and really give Fielder a lot of problems. Boy, another changeup.
And the 4th strikeout of the night for Guzman. Let's go back to the studio for an update with Bill Pito.
All right, Dan, Kansas City and Cleveland. The Royals coming in having lost 5 in a row. But here, Johnny Damon in the second base hit scores Chili Davis. That puts the Royals up 1-0. Sandy Alomar has also extended his hitting streak for the Indians in this game to 29 in a row. 1-0 Royals. Dan on the second.
Sandy Alomar is closing in on Benito Santiago's record for catchers hit streaks, 34. Boy, that's a long hit streak for a catcher, a guy that sits back there and gets beat up with those foul tips.
Remember that game back at Cleveland, too, on ESPN that was rained out after Alomar had hit a home run that was washed away by the rain. But he's got 29 games so far. Hitter here is Chad Curtis, the left fielder, and Juan Guzman, looking pretty comfortable, is ahead 0-2. Guzman lasted just 3 innings last time out, throwing 56 pitches. First start coming off the DL. He's on an 80-pitch count tonight, 32 so far. He has 4 strikeouts through an inning and 2/3. It's no secret that after Clemens and Henkin, the Blue Jays need another guy they can send out there and get innings and get wins from. And the best candidate, obviously, would be Juan Guzman with his track record.
You know, Dan, you picked up on something very significant here tonight, and I think we're seeing it. Not only does Guzman have a very good changeup, and maybe that's why he's going to it an awful lot, but we haven't seen the slider. The reason the slider has been a problem because it rests on the inside of his throwing thumb. And that's where he broke that thumb. Another changeup.
And a ground ball out to second, charged by Carlos Garcia to get Curtis by a step. 3 up and 3 down, 6 in a row. Set down by Juan Guzman here at Skydome tonight. Here in the bottom of the second, the leadoff man will be the first baseman Carlos Delgado, who has developed into the most legitimate and consistent power threat the Blue Jays have. He's got 16 on the season. It is only as of the last 3 weeks or so that Delgado has been given a chance to play every day. He had put up all kinds of big numbers against right-handers, but was not being given a chance to play against left-handers. Another reason that Cito Gaston has come under so much criticism. Rips that one foul, 2-1. But on a team, as we've mentioned, that has virtually no power, they need this guy's bat in the lineup every day.
Well, Delgado is gaining more confidence with each at bat, and he welcomes the challenge of facing the tough pitchers, both lefties and righties. You can see how he really gets locked in at the plate. Got a lot of power. Once he learns where his power is, and he is much stronger below the belt than he is above the belt. Last year, 25 home runs, 92 ribbies.
On pace to better the home run numbers this year at 16 already, hitting .267. Full count pitch on the way from David Cone. And it's outside ball 4. Leadoff walk issued by Cone here in the second. Cone gave up a leadoff base hit in the first. His catcher threw out Otis Nixon to bring the first inning to a close. Now we'll face the Blue Jay third baseman Ed Sprague here with Delgado at first, nobody out in the bottom of the second. Scoreless game. Another bat the Blue Jays desperately need to get going. Fouled back.
Look at this. Duncan is saying goodbye to Charlie Hayes. Cecil Fielder.
Is the deal done?
Must be done. I don't know why else he would be saying goodbye to anybody in the second inning.
Ground ball over the mound. Kelly gets one and got two. What a double play by Pat Kelly.
Well, it's almost fitting that as Duncan was leaving the dugout, Pat Kelly makes a sparkling defensive play. Take a look at the effort. This ball bounces right over home plate, off home plate over the mound. And look at Kelly, right to the bag, and then the off-balance throw right on the money to first. What a nifty double play by Pat Kelly. And this is Mariano Duncan moments earlier saying his goodbyes to his now former teammates. That's Charlie Hayes.
So it looks like the deal is done. The rumors have been going around for a couple of days that the Yankees were going to send Mariano Duncan and Kenny Rogers to San Diego for Greg Vaughn. 2 down, nobody on for the Blue Jay DH. Shawn Green takes down and in, a ball and a strike. Green, another young left-handed hitter, just recently being given a chance to play every day by the Blue Jays. Cone's gotten some help from his teammates here tonight. Joe Girardi throwing out Nixon. Pat Kelly turning the double play. And we should stress there has been no official announcement of the deal from the New York Yankees, but you got to think something's up the way Duncan was shaking hands in the Yankee dugout. Cone ahead 1-2. And Green rips a base hit up the middle. The inning will continue as the Blue Jays pick up their second hit of the night.
Well, Shawn Green, like Carlos Delgado, starting to get some regular at-bats, and because of that, starting to gain more confidence at the plate.
Here's Charlie O'Brien starting to play more and more behind the plate at the expense of Benito Santiago. Showed you the numbers off the top of the show, how badly Santiago has struggled offensively all season long as Green dives back into the bag. O'Brien was a member of the Blue Jays last year alongside a young Sandy Martinez, who has since been returned to the minors. O'Brien caught Pat Henkin when he won the Cy Young Award, and you know all about the success O'Brien had catching that Atlanta staff. He has swung a pretty good bat too this year in limited opportunities. Tino Martinez hoping for room. He's got it. And the inning is over. Blue Jays get a walk and a hit. Pat Kelly turns a nifty double play. Scoreless through 2.
Baseball etiquette. If you see junk hanging around, the proper thing to do is take it out. Triple Play 98, the ultimate judge.
Smoke that ball.
EA.
Speed on the studio updating Baltimore-Detroit game 1 of 2. Randy Myers comes on. He scores his 27th save, and the O's win it by the score of 4-3. Baltimore has now beaten Detroit 11 straight times. Stand back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. But the Yankees will certainly take note of another Oriole win as they just try to stay within range of Baltimore heading into the All-Star break. Up to the minute standings, as you can see, Baltimore way out in front and the Yankees 8 back. The other 3 teams all below 500 and all chasing the Yankees, who have the wild card spot right now. Here's Joe Girardi to lead off the third. Between innings, David Cone getting a little bit of work on that big toe.
He's got a little blister working, it looks like, on that foot that he drags on the mound. It's not unusual. You see pitchers with that from time to time.
Girardi, a 3-hit night, including an RBI for the Yankees last night in their 3-1 win over the Blue Jays. Guzman is fallen behind 3-0 here. Hitting .266, has 29 RBIs on the season. Threw out Otis Nixon back in the first. And a strike. Guzman with 4 strikeouts through the first 2 innings. Fouled back, and he's fought back. The count's full on Girardi.
Well, you see Guzman's fastball up to 90 miles an hour, and when he is right, he'll throw it 93, 94, and occasionally get it higher. But he can pitch at 93.
3-2. And another foul ball. Waiting on deck, Pat Kelly. Turn that great double play, and also, depending on what do we learn of Mariano Duncan in the next little while, is he the definitive #1 guy? Is Duncan still a member of the Yankees? How does Luis Sojo fit in? Got him. Another strikeout for Guzman, already his 5th of the night.
Five strikeouts so far for Juan Guzman, and he has had to battle back after falling behind early in a couple of his bats here. And he gets Girardi to chase the pitch down and away. Frustrating at bat for Joe Girardi. You know, you talk about the Duncan situation as Kelly fouls off the first pitch. I just went down and talked to the director of media relations for the Yankees, Rick Cerrone, and I told him what we saw, and he said, I have been told nothing, and I don't know how Duncan could have been told he was dealt. But right now, the Yankees PR director said nothing is official.
Inside, a ball and a strike to Kelly. Kenny Rogers, who you would think would be out in the bullpen, is not there right now, is not visible to us here in the ballpark.
Not unusual for players to be traded in the middle of a ball game or after a game has started.
A pop-up on the infield off the bat of Kelly. Garcia at second to make the grab, and Juan Guzman has now retired 8 in a row after that leadoff double by Jeter. This is all part of the mystery that is Juan Guzman over the last few years. From a 6.32 ERA in 1995 to the ERA championship of the American League last year. All kinds of nagging injuries that sideline him for a start here, a start there. He had one start in Detroit this year, threw 12 pitches, didn't get anybody out, left the game, eventually went on the DL. But when he is on, he can dominate.
Well, I came into this game with an opponent's batting average of .210. And that reflects just how nasty he can be. That was a slider, and we have not seen many of them. But when that pitch comes into the mix, it's double trouble for the hitters. And then he'll do that from time to time. 90 miles an hour underneath your chin. Guzman won't get a whole lot of ground ball outs because he throws high fastballs. And then that wicked slider that hitters will swing right through.
Gives a catcher a workout back there too when he's on.
He really will beat up a catcher. He'll throw some great sliders, and then he'll throw that 55-footer that'll bounce and really cause O'Brien some problems.
2 down, nobody on in the Yankee third, and the 2-1 to Jeter.
A changeup just ran low out of the strike zone. We've not seen Juan Guzman throw this many changeups early in a ball game like this. He's got a lot of confidence in it tonight.
Already you can see 5 strikeouts through 2 2/3. A lot of full counts, and remember the pitch count that Guzman is on, 80 maximum, just his second start since coming off the DL. He missed a month with that broken thumb. He's at 50 right now. With Guzman, you never know. He can have 7 and 8 pitch innings. He can have 30 and 40 pitch innings. 50 through 3, fairly typical for him. Crowd wanting another strikeout. And they'll get it. Number 6. Guzman with 2 strikeouts in each of the first 3 innings. Still scoreless. Blue Jays coming up again against David Cone.
Imagine if getting gas were more like mid-flight refueling. We have at the new, faster, easier Shell. Shell, moving at the speed of life.
In between innings, Joe Torre was on a telephone, and obviously he's not calling down to the bullpen. David Cone's holding the Blue Jays a check, then he sits down next to his bench coach, Don Zimmer.
Everybody wondering, is this trade official? There are certainly signs pointing in that direction, although it hasn't been confirmed. Is Greg Vaughn on his way to join Joe Torre in the New York Yankees? Shortstop Alex Gonzalez will lead off the third for the Blue Jays. David Cone gives up a fly ball deep to left. Curtis has room and makes the catch on the track, one down.
David Cone can breathe easier now. That ball came off the bat like it had a chance to go out of the ballpark. Gonzalez gets that fastball about mid-thigh high and gives it a ride. It really came off the bat well, but kind of settled and fell short of the left field fence.
And here's a strike to the second baseman, Carlos Garcia. You can see by his numbers he has had a struggle all season long, although the last couple of weeks have been very good ones for Garcia. He has spent most of the season down around 190. Just broke out of it in a series in Baltimore about 10 days ago when the Blue Jays improbably swept 4 games at Camden Yards. Big off-season deal brought over Carlos Garcia, Orlando Merced, and Dan Plesac from Pittsburgh for 6 minor leaguers. As Garcia chases, and he is gone, 2 down in the inning. And that is the first strikeout of the night for David Cone.
Yeah, the roles are a little bit reversed here tonight. Juan Guzman has 6 strikeouts. David Cone registers his first here to the number 9 batter, Carlos Garcia. This is that nasty slider that hitters have nightmares about. Tight spin. You don't see much of the seams on that, and it breaks down and away. It's difficult to make contact with.
Foot problem doesn't seem to be a problem.
No, it's nothing serious. It was just a precautionary Band-Aid to take over for that blister that might be working. Well, there's a curveball. You don't see many of those from Cone.
How much, not only the different types of pitches that he throws, but the arm angles, how much does that trouble a hitter?
Well, you can multiply it by 3. So if you got 4 pitches and 3 different arm angles, it's like a hitter has to deal with 12 different pitches. He sinks the fastball. He cuts the fastball. He'll throw a 4-seamer that just has a tendency to skip. And he does all of that from 3 different angles.
Nixon with one of the 2 Blue Jay hits on the night. He was then thrown out by Joe Girardi trying to steal. He'll back away from that 2-1.
Another thing that makes Cone so difficult to hit against is the fact that he's always ready to come at you. You never feel like you're comfortable against him. He toes the rubber, looks for a sign, and sets up ready to work very quickly. And you can see his delivery is very compact, and you never really know the slot that arm's going to come from.
Two down, nobody on, and the 2-2 to Nixon. He's gone. Back-to-back strikeouts for David Cone, and a pitcher's duel developing here at Skydome between Cone and Guzman. Scoreless through 3.
In a GMC Yukon, you may welcome a little challenge. A little mountain climbing. With horsepower that leads its class, Yukon dominates the road.
Even towing feels like child's play.
Yukon by GMC. It puts you comfortably in command.
We did the right thing. We bought the worst house on the best block.
And we fixed it up.
We figured a coat of paint would help everything.
It's Sears' biggest paint sale with the lowest prices of the summer.
Sears has an amazing array of colors to pick from.
Weather Beater, Easy Living, and Dutch Boy Dirt Fighter. Your choice, only $9.99.
I just chose a really nice kind of an off-white with a beige.
Lilac Mist is in the entryway.
Get a fresh look at a fantastic price. Only $9.99 a gallon at Sears.
We've always liked this home.
But now we love it.
My name is Jim, and I am the beer man, and I'm proud to sell this Coors Light. So please do not call me beer dude. Don't yell beer jockey, barley boy, or suds buddy. and I'll be happy to pour you a frost-brewed Coors Light.
Among the participants, Drew Carey, Spike Lee, Noah Wiley. Then the 1997 Gillette Home Run Derby. Mark McGwire, Ken Griffey Jr., Jeff Bagwell, Andres Galarraga, Larry Walker, and Tino Martinez of the New York Yankees have all confirmed their participation in the event. And among those on site who will be taking interest in all this, you'll be there to talk to Tino and company.
Yeah, I sure will. I'll be down on the field, and I'll be talking home runs with these guys. I've hit a lot of home runs in my career, so we'll talk home runs. Of course, last year Barry Bonds beat Mark McGwire in extra innings.
Wade Boggs will ground one down to first. Delgado flips to Guzman for the first out of the fourth. Now 10 in a row sent down to by Guzman as Bernie Williams comes up for the second time tonight. One of 6 strikeout victims through the first 3 innings. One of the guys who struck out on a changeup. Still hitting a very solid .311 on the season. There was some talk, Buck, that Williams going to the All-Star game might complicate things for the Yankees. Williams and the Yankees have been in pretty high-profile contract talks. Williams wanting a multi-year deal, and everybody trying to figure out how much he deserves. Who does he fit in with? And one thing the Yankees kept saying is, well, he's never even been to an All-Star game. How can you pay him like Ken Griffey Jr. or up near that mark? Well, now he is going to an All-Star game.
Yeah, so the price has gone up.
So Joe Torre just cost George Steinbrenner some money.
Well, Torre, a former player himself, knows how important it is to be recognized by your fans or your peers in the business as being an all-star. Now, there's Kenny Rogers, so that pretty much confirms it. No matter what the Yankees are saying, when you have 2 guys walking up and down the bench in the 3rd inning saying goodbye.
It's not a food run.
Now, Kenny Rogers talking with Joe Torre now, and, this is probably a pretty good moment for everyone, given all of the tension that has surrounded Kenny Rogers and the Yankees. So
pop up and foul ground. There goes Sprague, 2 down.
Well, last year on the 4th of July, which is George Steinbrenner's birthday, the Yankees signed Darryl Strawberry. And this year, Mr. Steinbrenner has given himself another birthday present. He has just pulled the trigger on a Yankee deal, and they have acquired Greg Vaughn.
Kenny Rogers and Mariano Duncan have said their goodbyes and headed down the tunnel, apparently on their way to San Diego. What a year and a half for Kenny Rogers in the Bronx as Tino Martinez takes a strike. Signed to a 4-year, $20 million deal. Did not leave camp either season as a member of the rotation. Hideki Irabu is on the way. Rogers just seemed ill-suited to the Bronx from the moment he got there, and maybe the quieter landscape of San Diego will be more to his liking. Duncan will get a chance to play, presumably, and Vaughn, left field, I guess, for the Yanks. They've got a DH and fielder. Guzman ahead 0-2 on Tino Martinez and finishes him off on 3 pitches. 12 in a row set down. 7 strikeouts overall as the Yankees have pulled the trigger on the big deal.
This simple-looking device is the key to unlock your body's hidden potential. It can change the look and shape of every line and curve on your body. Because it's the weight, the challenge, and the secret behind one of the most effective fitness machines in the world.
The seat is normally occupied by the Yankees PR director, Rick Cerrone, and we are told that he has gone to a meeting here at Scottsdale. You have seen Kenny Rogers and Mariano Duncan shake hands. Yes, we'd best cover our tracks because nothing official has been announced, but Buck Martinez's computer is predicting a trade by the end of the night. Well, what about Greg Vaughn as you get a look at the ESPN in-game box score? Who's done what so far tonight? There's Raines when he gets healthy. Strawberry's talking like he's back in a month. Chad Curtis, Mark Whitten. How many left fielders can you have?
Well, one at a time, and that's what they're hoping Greg Vaughn will be. When he was a member of the Milwaukee Brewers before he went to San Diego, he was a very potent hitter. For Milwaukee, had 31 home runs and drove in 95 runs before he went to San Diego, and he added 10 more home runs in San Diego.
The 2-1 to Orlando Merced is down at away ball 3.
You know, with the Brewers, Vaughn had shoulder problems, had a couple of surgeries, and he hadn't been healthy. But then last year he got healthy again and had his swing working.
Merced pops one up into shallow left. Derek Jeter is back from short to make the grab. So he's an American League hitter who just never adjusted to National League pitching?
Yeah, I think so. He'll be very comfortable if he should come back to the American League. He's very familiar with the league. He's familiar with all of the pitchers in the league.
There he is, Mr. Cerrone, back in his seat. If there is to be an announcement, you would expect it to come soon. One down for Joe Carter, who's 0 for 1. Blue Jays with 2 hits, Yankees with 1 here in the bottom of the 4th. What about from San Diego's point of view? Kenny Rogers, Mariano Duncan, how do they fit in?
Well, you remember that the Padres just picked up Danny Jackson from the Cardinals, so they're still searching for some pitching help. And second baseman Duncan, he's got a good bat. You put him in the lineup in a regular situation and he'll hit.
In terms of the finances involved in, unfortunately, you really can't talk about a baseball transaction these days without talking about the money. Both Vaughn and Rogers have 2 more years at about $5 million a season, so it's basically a wash. Duncan makes his money on the side, but the 2 big contracts belong to Kenny Rogers and Greg Vaughn, and they're about equal. Cone ahead of Carter, 1-2. Drops down a little bit, and Carter reaches out and just got a piece of it.
Dan, I talked to the coaching staff of the Yankees, including Joe Torre, and asked them about Duncan. And everyone to a man has said Duncan has been first class throughout it all. He has had his words back and forth in the newspaper with George Steinbrenner, but as far as staying ready to play and keeping involved with the club, he's been A1. Even today, around his locker, he was really upbeat.
Carter lines one softly out to second. Kelly will make the catch. 2 down. So now Kelly and Soho remain at second base for the Yanks. David Cone with a couple of outs here in the 4th inning. He's in a groove just like Guzman. Cone has retired 6 in a row. A good year for David Cone, 8-3 on the season, headed to the All-Star game, and he could easily have more than 8 wins as Carlos Delgado comes up. He walked his first time up. David Cone had a couple of starts back in June. One at Florida, a 9-inning 3-hitter, then against the Mets, an 8-inning 2-hitter, and couldn't pick up a win in either one. And he's had a couple more just like that earlier in the season. David Cone could easily have 11 or 12 wins already.
Both David Cone and Andy Pettit have had a couple of real good games in which they weren't able to pick up the W.
Two down and a 2-0 count on Delgado. Takes it low.
That's that splitter that ran out of the strike zone. Joe Carter fouled the ball off his foot on a down and in splitter, and Tommy Craig, the Blue Jays trainer, is putting some freeze on it, trying to ensure that that leg doesn't swell.
Second time tonight, Cone walks Delgado, extending the inning.
That's ethyl chloride. It's a freezing agent that they'll put on areas that have been hit baseballs. When you get hit by a pitch or something like that, foul the ball off. Tommy Craig, the head trainer, taking care of Joe Carter. That was a pitch down and in. Cone threw him a forkball. Seems to be okay.
Delgado a 2-out walk, and here's Sprague. Ed Sprague mired in one of the worst slumps of his career. He has been streaky at times. He holds a dubious Blue Jay record, 0 for 35 back in 1994. About a week ago, he was in a real hot streak, a 9-game hitting streak, and then he's gone cold since then. Here's another ground ball up the middle, charged by Jeter. Steps on the bag, getting over. Sprague's struggles continue. David Cone and Juan Guzman continue to be the story of this game.
Want to make painting easier? Change your roller to a Wagner cordless power.
One of those strikeouts back in the second inning. Guzman has now thrown 61 pitches on an 80-pitch count. His second start since coming off the DL with a broken bone in his thumb as O'Neill goes the other way, fairly deep. Carter showing no signs of any problems after fouling the ball off his leg, makes the catch, 1 down.
Well, Juan Guzman has 7 strikeouts. He got Boggs on a changeup. Then Bernie Williams swings through another changeup. Paul O'Neill is strikeout victim number 3 in the second inning. High fastball. Cecil chases a changeup down. Joe Girardi, another changeup away. Derek Jeter, he strikes out looking on a fastball, and then Tino Martinez, strikeout victim number 7, down and away.
Cecil Fielder will take a strike, and again the lack of the slider, especially on 2-strike pitches. Guzman, I would guess, would get about 3/4 of his strikeouts on that slider.
Yeah, and we have just seen 2 or 3 sliders through the course of this ball game. 63 pitches so far.
Big number for Guzman, too. No walks. He had walked 28 in 47 innings coming into this start. None so far tonight.
Dan, we talked about Guzman's first start since coming off the DL against the Orioles. In that 3-inning appearance, he threw several sliders. Maybe during the course of his warm-ups tonight, he felt some discomfort on his thumb and decided to go with the changeup. That looked like a slider there. 81 miles an hour. It still might be a changeup. Guzman's so difficult to tell. That looked like a straight changeup. A lot of hitters in the American League think Guzman throws a forkball. But it's simply a slider that he really steers into the ground.
2-2 the count on a Fielder, who struck out back in the second and is now 3 for 36 career against Guzman. Nothing since the leadoff double by Jeter for the Yankees. As Fielder takes it low, full count. This will likely be the last inning of work for Guzman with the pitch count that he's on. And now the crowd urging him on toward what they hope is strikeout number 8. Just inside. Let's get an update back at the studio with Bill Pito.
All right, Dan, Kansas City and Cleveland. We're in the top of the 4th. 1 run already in for the Royals. And here, David Howard, base hit, drives in 2 more. So the Royals now lead Cleveland by the score of 4-2. It's now gone to the bottom of the 4th inning.
Now the Indians continue to lead the Central. Kansas City 6 back, but both Central divisions, in fact, have been mediocre all season long and are still pretty wide open as we near the break.
Yeah, nobody seems to want to really get hot and break away from the pack in both Central divisions.
A high strike to Chad Curtis, who didn't like the call of home plate on Greg Kosk. Kosk was involved in an unusual situation here at Scottsdale a couple of weeks ago, and with a lot of bad weather in the area, the roof was open. They didn't get it closed in time in the middle of the game before the rain started falling, and there was actually a 14-minute delay here. A retractable roof stadium that just didn't retract in time. Closed tonight. Windy and cool here in the Toronto area tonight. On an 80 pitch count, it's 70 right now. Inside to Curtis. That'll straighten him up.
Well, Guzman's had a great delivery tonight. Normally in a regular start for Juan Guzman, you'll see 3 or 4 pitches that he bounces short of home plate, or he'll be well out of the strike zone. he'd be running off toward the mound, toward the first base foul line. But tonight he's been very balanced, and as a result, he's been in the strike zone consistently.
There's a pitch on the inside corner. Fielder got ball 4. Curtis takes strike 3, and Guzman has matched his season high with 8 strikeouts.
Good movement on this fastball. It starts out over the heart of the plate, runs to the inside corner, and Greg Koss says, yeah, that'll be strike 3. Chad Curtis doesn't agree with it. Similar pitch that Cecil Fielder took for ball 4.
2 down. Fielder still at first, and here's Joe Girardi.
There was a slider down and away. Girardi wants the ball checked. Girardi was a strikeout victim his first time up. Having another solid season. Boy, he gives you a lot when he can hit 265, 270 to go with what he does with the pitching staff.
Drives it to center. Here comes Nixon, and the inning is over. If that is indeed it for Guzman, the Blue Jays have to be thrilled. 5 shutout innings. Still scoreless at Skydome.
Here's something you should never do with your eyeglasses.
Into the clubhouse. When they know, we'll know. And when we know, you will know. But at this point, officially, there has been no trade. DH Shawn Green leads off the 5th. Base hit to center field his first time up. Up to 268 on the season. We talked a little bit about Green and Delgado and how they weren't allowed to play against lefties for about a month. Green wasn't playing at all as the Blue Jays brought in the well-traveled Ruben Sierra. That didn't pan out. Green has never been what you'd consider on the good side of Cito Gaston. The Blue Jays have not been thrilled with his defense at times. And he thought he was out of Toronto. He thought he was just about traded. 7 or 8 teams apparently had an interest. But when the Blue Jays released Sierra, all of a sudden Green went from nowhere to an everyday player.
Well, when he was first penciled back into the lineup, it was as a DH, and then Cito Gaston went back and forth with Carter DHing and Shawn Green in left, and he seems to be using that same tact as Green continues to play every day. Well, there's another good curveball that just missed. Shawn Green, the last 2 seasons, has gotten off to a slow start. But in each of those last 2 seasons, he's had very good second halves. Last year, he had 337 in the second half.
He'll take a walk, reaching base for the 2nd time tonight. Let's go to the studio. Bill Pito's got an update.
Dan, Reds Astros, top of the 4th, 2 on for Willie Green against Tommy Green, and oh my goodness. Whoa, way back there. His 12th of the year, 3-run shot, and the Reds now lead Houston 3-2 in the bottom of the 4th.
Again, in the Central Division, this time in the National League, Reds are just 4 out. Cubs start, what was it, 0-14? They're only 6.5 out.
Yeah, anything's possible in that Central.
Nobody over 500 in the National League Central as Green is driven back to the bag by Cone. Charlie O'Brien is up for the 2nd time tonight, 0 for 1, hitting .245 on the season. Shawn Green with 6 stolen bases on the year. Girardi's already thrown out Nixon tonight.
Girardi got some good help from David Cone when they threw out Otis Nixon. Girardi's throwing out about 27%. Cone for the season has now allowed 11 stolen bases and caught 5 base runners. So base runners are 11 for 16 against Cone. There's a quick throw and Green's back. Otis Nixon, 36 steals, and now being caught tonight, he has been caught 9 times.
Not going, and O'Brien takes strike 2. He is a free swinger up at the plate, not as concerned with the batting average as he is with hitting the ball hard, trying to make his hits count. And he's done a very good job of that this year. 21 RBIs for a guy who has played only about 40% of the time.
Cone with a quick throw to first base. It's right on the money, and you can see that Green just slides back in ahead of the tag.
Check swing foul out of play.
I love when guys do that. Every time I did that, I went right back to the pitcher. Check swing, little dribbler back to the pitcher. Ho-hum, 1-3, grab some pine.
That's a skill.
Tony Oliva was the best I ever saw at that. Rod Carew was great at it, too. Taking that tough two-strike pitch and just kind of deflecting it like a hockey goalie might do.
Now, you've moved up a notch when you're talking about hitters. When you moved up from, I wish I could do that, to Tony Oliva and Rod Carew.
Just a little bit.
Another throw over. David Cone very concerned with Shawn Green.
Well, Tino saved him an error right there. Coney bounced a little short hopper, and Tino Martinez backhanded it. Watch this throw. He throws it right into the dirt, and look at the effort by Martinez. He stabbed that with a backhand grab. Shawn Green may have ended up on third base on that one.
Cone ahead 0-2 in O'Brien. He has struck out 2 on the night. Has given up just 2 hits so far. Down and away, and a nice block by Girardi. David Cone unquestionably is getting help from his teammates tonight. Girardi, Martinez, Pat Kelly turned a great double play.
Well, right there, Joe Girardi really does a good job of shifting way out to his right and smothering that ball in the dirt. When you call for a breaking ball off David Cone, the only place it's going to really beat you is down and away, and you can see Girardi gloves it. Made a quick move to his right and kept Shawn Green at first.
There goes Green, and it's fouled back by O'Brien. Well, back in 1992, when the Blue Jays won their first World Series, Juan Guzman, who's pitching tonight, was on the staff. David Cone was on the staff. Jack Morris was on the staff. Pat Borders earned his money that year behind the plate catching those 3 guys.
Yeah, you can see there's what David Cone did with the Blue Jays in 2 different stints. And Cone threw a lot of balls in the dirt. That forkball always bouncing and beating up Pat Borders. Same for Jack Morris. And Guzman threw a lot of those hard sliders into the dirt.
Green was off and running on the last pitch. Is not this time, as O'Brien swings through it, and he's gone. 1 down, and the 3rd strikeout of the night for Cone.
Now, Charlie O'Brien was on just about every pitch Cone threw until this one. Looks like he throws a straight changeup, and you can see how far out in front Charlie O'Brien is.
Guzman has gone to 5 shutout innings, but on a pitch count, he's not going to go any further. Kelvin Escobar, a young, hard-throwing right-hander, is set to make just his 2nd big league appearance. His first one was in the Guzman game back at Baltimore. And he pitched so well, Charlie O'Brien said after the game, where has this guy been all year? Came up from Double-A. He throws in the mid to high 90s. Here's Alex Gonzalez, his 2nd at bat of the night. A fly ball deep to left. Took Curtis back near the wall, but stayed in the park, as close as either team has come to scoring a run here tonight. Green on the move. And Joe Girardi has thrown out his 2nd runner tonight.
Shawn Green didn't get a very good jump. He was late when he broke. And now Girardi is saying the count is 1-1, and we've got 2 outs. But look at how late Green is. Cone moves, and he hasn't moved yet. So that enabled Joe Girardi to throw a ball right on the money and gun down his 2nd base runner tonight. Pat Kelly in front of the bag puts the tag on Green, and he is out.
2-1 now to Gonzalez. Well, for a guy throwing out 26% on the season, Joe Girardi has looked pretty good.
David Cone's done a good job of keeping those base runners close to first.
Now 2 down, nobody on. Down and away, ball 3 to Gonzalez.
Cone's had enough of that baseball. It won't go over the plate.
Alex Gonzalez putting up virtually the same offensive numbers this year as he has in his first 2 major league seasons. Average down in the 240s. Decent power. as he will take a walk. Cone not close. His second walk of the inning and his fourth walk of the night.
Well, Mel Stottlemyre is now the pitching coach for the New York Yankees. He was David Cohn's pitching coach when they were both with the Mets. And David Cohn was the strikeout artist of the National League. There was a time when Cohn put a premium on strikeouts. That's no longer the case. They're just a product of his quality pitches.
Boy, he'd had some big strikeout numbers with the New York Mets. Led the National League in 1990 with 233. Led the NL again in 91 with 241. He got Carlos Garcia tonight in his first at bat. Gonzalez down to second as that pitch squirts away from Girardi.
Well, as a base runner, you better be thinking about moving up on a wild pitch pass ball with David Cohn on the mound, because he throws a lot of pitches in the dirt. Girardi had shifted over but never got his glove down in front of it. The ball actually goes off of his leg and then trickles through his legs behind him. Gonzalez very alertly moves up on the play, and the Blue Jays finally have a base runner in scoring position.
But
first time they've had anybody at second.
Problem is, though, 2 outs and an 0-2 count, and that's outside from Cohn. Garcia hitting just .216. Cohn trying to get out of it. Little pop-up on the infield. Kelly's right there, and Cohn does get out of it. 2 walks, but no damage. Scoreless through 5. And here's a hard-throwing right-hander, Kelvin Escobar, to make just his second big league appearance, and his first one was a dandy. It was in relief of Guzman at Baltimore, as you can see, 5 days ago, and not a bad way to break into the major leagues.
4 innings of 2-hit ball, just the 1 earned run that came in the first inning he worked. He walked 3 batters in that first inning. Obviously, a little bit of jitters affecting him. He has made the jump from Double-A to the big leagues, and he is a hard thrower. It wasn't that long ago that you couldn't go down to the bullpen after Guzman left the game and come out with somebody that threw harder than Guzman, but Escobar does. Fastball, splitter, and a slider. That's what Escobar will feature, and he's got a lot of life on his fastball. 21-year-old out of La Guaira, Venezuela.
And the first hitter for him tonight will be the Yankee second baseman Pat Kelly. After that, back to the top of the order, Jeter and Boggs. Escobar's first 2 major league appearances coming against the Orioles and the Yankees. Not the easiest way to break into the big leagues. Kelly tonight popped up in his first at bat, hitting just .203 on the season, and takes a strike at the knees. Kelly didn't like a strike call from Greg Kosk in his first at bat and wasn't thrilled with that one either. 93 miles an hour on the first offering from Escobar, who misses outside a 1-1.
He's just starting to get loose.
He got up to 98 at Camden Yards in his second inning of work last week. Blue Jays have auditioned a number of young pitchers this year, from Marty Jansen, the main pitcher they picked up in the David Cohn deal, to right-hander Chris Carpenter. Escobar looks a little more polished and maybe a little more confident than the others have looked. In the Baltimore game last week, after Escobar did not get a close call, he gave a Carlos Perez Olay out on the mound. This is a flamboyant guy. He's not shy. The 2-2 to Kelly. Pulled foul.
Dan, I'm a firm believer that a lot of the young Latin American pitchers who pitch in their home country during winter ball have a little more confidence because they've faced a lot of big league pitchers during the wintertime. Escobar plays for the Lara Cardinales in the Venezuelan Winter League, so he has faced big league hitters before.
And he gets a strikeout on the outside corner. Kelly strikes out. 9 strikeouts between Guzman and Escobar so far tonight.
Now, this is that wicked splitter that he will throw. He gives you a good look at the fastball and then drops that splitter on the outside corner. It took O'Brien a while to call that splitter in his first appearance. He didn't really call it until after the first inning of work. That's Gord Ash and Tim McCleary. McCleary is the assistant GM here, former Yankee front office employee. And they're very impressed by what they have seen so far from Escobar.
Gord Ash said about 10 days ago, Blue Jays would need to decide in the next week or so whether they're contending or dismantling, contending or rebuilding. They are chasing the Yankees for the wild card spot. Derek Jeter, the batter. On the appeal, it's a swing, says Dan Morrison, 1-1.
Well, if the Blue Jays can continue to get starts like Guzman gave them tonight, and then Escobar continues to add some depth to the bullpen, you never know. Blue Jays expected to have a very solid starting staff coming out of spring training, headed by Pat Hentgen and Roger Clemens, then Juan Guzman. Eric Hansen was lost, and maybe he'll come back toward the end of August or September. But when you've got 1 and 2, like Clemens and Hentgen, you've got to like your chances. They went into Yankee Stadium and shut down the Yankees totally. And that really got the Yankee hitters' attention. Said, oh, man, if they're going to throw like that, they're going to be contenders.
Jams him on a ground ball. 2 Hopper to Sprague, who throws out Jeter. 2 down in the inning. Blue Jays decided to make a run at it this year. They went out and got busy in the offseason. Roger Clemens, obviously the biggest acquisition by GM Gord Ash. There was the trade with the Pirates we talked about, Merced Garcia and Plesac. Santiago coming over as a free agent. Clemens has been outstanding. Merced has gotten better. Plesac has been pretty good. Garcia just now finding his swing, and Benito Santiago the biggest puzzle for the Blue Jays all season long.
Blue Jays didn't really expect to get 30 home runs from Santiago, but they expected to get maybe a 250, 260 batting average. And that has them more concerned than the lack of power. He's hit just 3 home runs.
Wade Boggs, the batter, 1-1. Boggs 0 for 2 on the night. Strikeout and a ground ball. Well, if indeed the Yankees have acquired Vaughn, and again, it's not official, perhaps reacting to the Orioles' move of acquiring Baroa, then do the Blue Jays go out and react as well? The one problem here in Toronto, and whoever would have believed it would become a problem, is attendance. They're averaging about 31,000. That's not bad, but for a team with a $52 million payroll, they expected more. They expected all those blue seats up there to be filled every time Roger Clemens took the mound, and the walk-up crowds are virtually nothing here in Toronto. It doesn't matter if Clemens or anybody else is starting. And right now, it's anybody's guess whether there is room in the budget to go out and get another player to help the likes of Clemens and Hentgen.
Well, you see the numbers Clemens has put up, and by contrasting the little increase when he plays to Randy Johnson and what he draws.
Big difference in Seattle as Boggs grounds out. Good inning for Escobar. 3 up, 3 down. Clemens and Hentgen headed to the All-Star game. We're headed to the bottom of the 6th.
Why did the ball go there? Because he hit the ball here. Golf is a game of millimeters. A little mishit can get you in big trouble. But now with OnMark, simply spray it on the club face and you'll know precisely where you hit the ball every time. It instantly wipes off between shots so you can make adjustments to your swing and improve your game. And as part of the OnMark kit, you get a free reference guide filled with tips to help you analyze your swing while you're playing. With OnMark Impact Spray, every shot is like a lesson. Order now. We'll include an exclusive golfing video and a special brush to clean your clubs. The video provides important information to improve your swing in order to get a more consistent hit pattern. Now with OnMark, he knows why the ball landed there. It's because he hit the ball here. Call 1-800-959-8833 and receive a can of OnMark reference guide, cleaning brush, and training video for just $19.99.
There's not a faster way to improve your game than with OnMark.
They say if you build a better mousetrap. Introducing the new Xerox Document Center, a digital copier loaded with so many incredible features, we had to make a video just to tell you about it. Document Center scans the image once, stores it in memory, and prints out laser-sharp copies. With an upgrade, it becomes a powerful fax.
Oh, and with a short, straight paper path, it's designed to be more reliable.
Soon, you'll even be able to print and fax right from your desktop. So get the video on the Xerox Document Center, the best mousetrap we've ever made.
Being a WNBA groupie, you're not just a piece of meat.
Nice game.
But appearance is important. When I was a kid, I used to love Clemente, but this is way different than that.
David Cone back out there for the bottom of the 6th inning. He has thrown a 2-hitter through 5, just 3 hits, Buck, all night long. The only hit for the Yankees, Derek Jeter led off the game with a double. Otis Nixon, the batter for the Blue Jays, led off the game for the Blue Jays with a single, and then Shawn Green had a single in the 2nd. There has not been a hit either way since the 2nd inning. Oh, and 2 as Cone jumps out ahead.
This has not been a real good week for Blue Jay hitters. Cone tonight. On Monday, they faced Pedro Martinez of the Expos. On Tuesday, they faced Jeff Juden, who struck out 14.
3 pitches and gone for Otis Nixon. He is caught looking for the 2nd time in tonight's game.
Another one of those curveballs. You see, he starts it off the plate, and it comes back door. Actually, this is the slider. That backdoor slider, always a tough pitch for left-handed hitters because you have a tendency to give up on it. It's well off the plate and then catches the outside corner.
Nixon with a base hit and a couple of strikeouts tonight. David Cone now with 4 strikeouts on the night. Had 16 2 starts ago against the Tigers. A Yankee record for right-handers and the 2nd highest total ever by a Yankee. Ron Guidry, 18 Angels back in 1978.
Ron Guidry was no fun in 78. He was 25-3.
Orlando Merced is 0 for 2 on the night. A fly ball to right and a pop up to short. The .283 average you see is the highest of any Blue Jay. They are last in the American League in a batting average, and it's not even close. Blue Jays came in tonight hitting .244 as a team. Next worst, the Tigers at .260. Joe Carter's down under .240. Benito Santiago's under .200. .283 for Merced, far and away the best average on the team.
Well, when Orlando first came over here from the Pirates, he really got into the theories and what was going to happen. American League pitchers are going to pitch me different, and they never throw you fastballs, and he really got himself into a mess, and he has since cleared his mind and become more effective. He talked an awful lot about how American League pitchers get to fastball counts and throw you anything but fastballs. I believe that's a product of a smaller strike zone in the American League. Pitchers are reluctant to really throw that fastball. That's what he did last year. Career high 17 home runs with Pittsburgh.
The entire Blue Jay outfield is eligible for free agency at the end of the season. Merced, Nixon, and Carter. So if the Blue Jays were to fall out of contention, presumably all 3 may be put on the block. Gordash might entertain some phone calls from contenders as Merced fouls another one back. Team in limbo to another degree because there's uncertain ownership right now. Joe Carter perhaps coming to the end of a great 70-year stint with the Toronto Blue Jays. But the Blue Jays are up for sale. Cito Gaston's job may be in jeopardy. He's come under a lot of criticism right now. Paul Beeston, the very popular president of the Blue Jays, may be on his way to New York and some kind of a second-in-command job to Bud Selig, although that's not been confirmed. This organization used to be a model of stability. It's the opposite right now. One down in the 6th, and the full count pitch on the way to Merced. Rips it into right center field. Well hit and gone.
Merced with a very good at bat, fouled off pitch after pitch, and finally gets a fastball. Girardi is set up outside, and Merced really stays on it. That ball is about belt high out over the plate, and he put a charge in it. Into the first row of seats, bounces back onto the field. Home run number 8 for Merced, and that's the 11th home run allowed by David Cone.
And finally, the first run of the night for either team. Merced's homer off Cone makes it 1-0 in the 6th. Number 8 on the season, and the batter is Joe Carter. The 1-1 from Cone. As we have just been given an update that both Kenny Rogers and Mariano Duncan were both just seen leaving the Yankee clubhouse in street clothes with gear and Yankee bags. And again, for whatever reason, the trade has not yet been confirmed, although you saw Joe Torre and everybody else in the Yankee clubhouse shake Rogers' hand, shake Duncan's hand.
It's very difficult for two major league ball players, particularly on the Yankees club, to sneak out of Skydome without someone finding out about it. And it was quite evident. I saw Duncan early in the game shaking hands and talking to teammates, and I mean, that told me that he had been told somehow that the deal had been done.
2-2 pitch. He jammed Carter. Little grounder up the middle. Jeter close at first, but in time to get him 2 down. Again, the rumor for the last couple of days has been Duncan and Rogers to San Diego for Greg Vaughn, as he would make a return to the American League, where he had his best success as a Brewer. Presumably Vaughn would play left field. Cecil Fielder is the DH. That would put Witten and Curtis and Raines and Strawberry, when they get healthy, in limbo with the Yankees. Rogers gets out of the Bronx, where he just did not pitch as well as he did as a Texas Ranger. Mariano Duncan hit .340 last year, but hitting .247 this year. You're not going to keep him in the lineup for defense. This is a classic high-salaried change of scenery deal, if in fact it has come to pass.
Well, you'll remember last year we talked about Darryl Strawberry being signed on the 4th of July. Cecil Fielder was traded for on July 31st, and the Yankees really took off in the second half. So maybe if the deal is done, Vaughn will provide the spark to put a charge in the Yankees during this second half.
David Cone takes care of Carlos Delgado in 3 pitches, but Orlando Merced homers off Cone, and the Blue Jays take a 1-0 lead.
Now, Jack, I'm still not making any promises. Oh, watch out for this. But if you pass your
steamed.
Well, David Cone, look at him motioning with his hands, and he's talking to Joe Girardi here. He flares his finger. Now, tell me, stick with me, if I shake you off, go to another pitch. So they had some confusion in the Merced at bat. Cone is very aware of the Blue Jays, and in particular Ed Sprague, because Sprague always pays attention, trying to pick up something in Cone's delivery that might tip a pitch or two. When you've got a tough pitcher like David Cone, you're looking for any kind of opening that might help you out at the plate.
Bernie Williams leading off the 7th for the Yankees. Williams, Tino Martinez, and Paul O'Neill coming up. Toughest part of the Yankee order. Facing Kelvin Escobar, Blue Jay rookie, in just his 2nd major league appearance, in his 2nd inning of work. Got the Yankees in order back in the 6th. Up from Double-A to the major leagues. Had some arm problems and some surgery in the offseason, set him back a bit this year. Williams tonight is struck out and then popped up, hitting .310 on the season. As part of the Yankee order is a very good test for a young pitcher's composure. As you can see, Escobar hitting 97 miles an hour. He's got an all-star in Williams at the plate, an all-star in Tino Martinez on deck. Paul O'Neill behind him. He's won a batting title. Cecil Fielder behind him. He's hit 50 home runs in a season.
Yeah, this isn't the Chattanooga Lookouts.
3-1. And fouled back, full count.
There's some pretty good hitters in this lineup, although they may be struggling compared to their career averages. But Bernie Williams is just now emerging as a premier hitter in the American League. That postseason he put together last year really put him in another level as far as how he's regarded.
Full count here. Leadoff batter in the 7th. And a drive to left. Carter going back, reaches up and makes the catch on the edge of the track. 1 down. Escobar coming in back of Guzman. Guzman and Cone have both pitched well. This pitching summary is brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paint and Wallpaper Stores. Guzman only leaving because he was on an 80-pitch pitch count coming off the DL. Just his second start. Broken bone in his thumb. He was outstanding. David Cone has been very good. Just touched for the home run by Merced. It is 1-0 Blue Jays in the 7th. And here is Tino Martinez. 0 for 2 tonight, but what an incredible year Martinez is putting together. Big power numbers for the guy who David Cone calls the most level-headed teammate he's ever had. Cone's been on enough teams to be an authority on teammates. Doesn't say boo, works as hard as anybody.
David Cone has a tremendous regard for guys that go about their business as hard as he does. And he thinks Tino Martinez is one of those real pro ball players.
Rips one to second, knocked down by Garcia. And by the time he could find it, Martinez is standing on first base.
Looks like that ball may have bounced up and hit him in the face somewhere. It was a hot shot off the bat of Tino Martinez, but it was right at the feet of the second baseman, Carlos Garcia. Take a look at the pitch here. Martinez hits the one-hopper just to the left of Garcia. He got a glove on it, and then he realizes, hey, the ball is right here. I think that ball skipped off his glove and hit him in the face.
Be sure and join ESPN this holiday weekend at the Daytona International Speedway. Fresh off his win in the California 500, Jeff Gordon leads the point race into Daytona for the Pepsi 400. Gordon looks to double his pleasure, seeking his second win at Daytona this year. Tomorrow, catch NASCAR Today on the News, followed by the Pepsi 400 live from Daytona on ESPN. Now, Garcia appears to be okay. Infield hit for Tino Martinez of the Yankees. A 1-0 game in the 7th. And here is Paul O'Neill as a throw over from Escobar will send Martinez back to the bag. O'Neill, like many of the Yankees, 0 for 2 on the night. That hit by Martinez, just the second Yankee hit tonight, and the first since Derek Jeter doubled to lead off the game. Martinez not much of a threat to run. 2 steals on the season. O'Neill backs away from it. A ball and a strike. The Blue Jays have gone to a bullpen by committee to a certain extent, although Mike Timlin still gets most of the save opportunities. But Cito Gaston liked what he saw from Escobar so much in Baltimore. He said earlier this week the next time he uses him, if he's throwing well, he might just leave him out there and let him finish. He knew he would need some long relief behind a Guzman tonight with a pitch count, and he knew Escobar would be the guy.
Well, Escobar in Double-A was a starter. He made 5 starts, pitched 24 in the 3rd innings down there, so he is the type of guy that can stretch out an appearance a little deeper than the rest of his bullpen mates. Mel Queen, the pitching coach, next to Cito Gaston, has talked about Escobar for a couple of seasons.
1-2 sent down the left field line, but a foul. O'Neill about 5 feet away from getting the Yankees offense in gear.
Escobar, one of several Blue Jay minor leaguers this last year that the Blue Jays are very high on. Pitcher at AAA named Roy Halladay, hard-throwing right-hander, 6'6", throws hard. Another right-hander named Chris Carpenter's at AAA. Boy, another good splitter. So the Blue Jays appear to be really well stocked with good arms in the minors. Their #1 pick of a year ago, Billy Kotz out of Clemson, tore up his elbow and had season-ending surgery, and they don't expect him back until next spring.
A 1-2 count on O'Neill. Martinez the lead at first, 1 down. And a ground ball to second. Could be 2. Garcia on to Gonzalez and back to first for an inning-ending double play. Tough night for the Yankee hitters. The Blue Jay pitchers have held them to just 2 hits.
Baseball etiquette. If someone brings an uninvited guest to your house, throw them both out. Triple Play 98, the ultimate judge.
Double play.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
The message contains instructions
10, 9,
for building some kind of a transport.
8, 7.
From the Pulitzer Prize-winning author
6
and the Academy Award-winning director
5.
of Forrest Gump.
When you come back, everybody that you care about be gone.
A journey into the heart of the universe. Jodie Foster, Matthew McConaughey.
We are not alone.
Contact rated.
Still out there for the Yankees as this game moves to the bottom of the 7th. 1-0 Toronto on the Orlando Merced. Full count home run with 1 out back in the 6th. Here is Ed Sprague, 0 for 2 on the night. Base hit up the middle. And for Ed Sprague, that snaps a 1 for 35 drought. Let's get an update from around the majors. Here's Bill Pito.
All right, Dan, Baltimore, Detroit, the second of 2. The O's won the first one. They were up 5-1 in the second one. But, big but, second inning, bases loaded for Brian Hunter. A grand slam. His first career grand slam. Ties the game at 5 right now in the 3rd inning.
Now, good news for the Yankees as they keep an eye on the Orioles. Brian Hunter, known more for his speed, drives in 4. Ties that game. Blue Jays lead here 1-0 as Sean Green takes ball 1.
Let me tell you something. That Tiger organization deserves a lot of credit for the way they have turned around their ball club. They've got an all-star young Justin Thompson, a left-hander that's going to Cleveland in his first all-star appearance. And they've got some real good young players. Tony Clark, their first baseman, also under heavy consideration by Joe Torre to go to the All-Star game. But because of the limitations and the requirement that everybody is represented by at least one All-Star, he couldn't afford to take Tony Clark.
No shame to lose out to Tito Martinez, Frank Thomas, and Mark McGwire at first base, although you're right, he could have been there very easily. Sprague the lead. And the 1-1 to Green is taken on the inside corner for strike 2.
Sean Green looking for something out over the plate, and Cohn throws that cut fastball right in on his hands, and Coney gets that call.
Ground ball up the first base line, foul.
Well, I tell you, the Yankees have been in some ball games like this one here tonight. When you go back to the 3-game series against Atlanta, on Monday night, it was Andy Pettitte and Tom Glavine, 1-0 with a 2-out single by Louis Sojo in the 10th to win it for New York. Then Denny Nagel and Greg Maddux won the last 2 games, but there were 7 runs scored by both teams in the 3-game series.
And then 3-1 last night, 1-0 tonight. In the last 5 games total, Yankees have scored 5, given up 7.
Doc Gooden and Andy Pettitte. Pettitte will go here on Saturday. Gooden won't pitch until after the All-Star break.
Cohn strikes out Green for the first out of the 7th. Now Pettitte, Gooden, looks like Kenny Rogers is gone, although he was out of the rotation earlier. Hideki Irabu continues his journey toward the major leagues. One more AAA start to come for Irabu, and then he is set to join the Yankees against the Tigers July the 10th.
This is the Yankee program that they're selling right now at Yankee Stadium. They have Irabu on the cover, and the title is Import of the Year.
Story of the year, maybe, depending on how it all turns out, signing the big deal. in effect forcing a trade from San Diego. Here's O'Brien, 0 for 2. Sprague not a threat at first. Looks like the Padres and the Yankees consummating their second trade here tonight, with Rogers and Duncan shaking hands and leaving the Yankee clubhouse in street clothes, although again no official confirmation from either the Yankees or the Padres. 2-0 the count on O'Brien, hitting .243 on the season. Runner at first, one down, 1-0 Blue Jays. There's a strike. Irabu, by the way, Buck, will make his final AAA start tomorrow at Columbus against the Tigers AAA team in Toledo.
David Cone up to 100 pitches. Pitch count's never really been a problem for Cone.
Ground ball down to third. Yankees will try to start a double play, and will do so with ease to end the inning. 7 innings in the books at Skydome. The Merced home run standing up so far.
Housekeeping, excuse me.
His next teammate.
Well, I think the team at this point is so anxious to see what he's all about. He's almost like Sid Finch at this point. I mean, there's such a mystique about the guy. Nobody's seen him throw live other than the minor leaguers right now. So everybody said, bring this guy on. Let's see what he's all about. He wants to be a Yankee. He wants to play in New York. And there's not a lot of players that say that nowadays.
Well, Cone's reference to Sid Finch goes back a few years when George Plimpton wrote an article for Sports Illustrated on April Fool's Day, and it documented the great rookie in camp with the Mets named Sid Finch. And that's what Cone was talking about. All of the hype around Hideki Irabu, and no one has really seen him. So they're anxious to see him live on the 10th of July.
His first major league appearance will come against the Detroit Tigers. And if he were to stay on a rotation and pitch every 5th day, his third start would be against the Milwaukee Brewers on ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball. So the whole country could get a look at Irabu in just his third big league start. Even though he's been hit a little bit, he's yet to walk a batter in 5 minor league outings, but he's got 7 balks already.
Yeah, the balk problem is just a result of his delivery. And Billy Connors has made some adjustments with that down in the minor leagues. But the control is impeccable. He throws hard, upper 90s, got a great splitter like Hideo Nomo.
3-1 the count on Cecil Fielder. A strikeout and a walk. Facing Escobar for the first time tonight. Outside. And the leadoff man is aboard and trailing by 1 in the 8th. Is Joe Torre going to send a little speed out there for Cecil Fielder? What do you think? Down a run? Does he go to a pinch runner?
Well, he doesn't have Mariano Duncan. Mark Whitten is going to come out of the dugout and pinch run for Cecil Fielder. A 1-0 ball game. We're in the 8th inning, and Fielder got the leadoff walk, and his night has come to an end.
Boy, it's like a reunion here at Skydome for former Blue Jays, from Cecil Fielder to Mark Whitten to David Cone to David Wells.
Louis Soho is another former Blue Jay.
Mark Whitten losing his regular job at left field. Bernie Williams coming off the DL. Chad Curtis moving to left. Mark Whitten moving to the bench. Will pinch run here as Curtis grounds one down to third. Fair ball. There's one, and that's it. Garcia got up in the air and decided to put the ball in his pocket.
Well, the pinch running move saved the Yankees a double play because Whitten had enough speed to get down there and distract Garcia to the point where he couldn't make a throw to first. Curtis runs well, but had Fielder been the base runner from first, he never would have gotten to second base as quickly as Whitten. So they keep a base runner on.
So one down, Curtis at first, and here's Joe Girardi. Yankees try to tie it up here in the 8th inning. They've got just 2 hits on the night. And all these veteran Yankee hitters are facing someone they have never seen before in Kelvin Escobar. He came on after 5 innings for Juan Guzman. Guzman on a pitch count. Escobar has been very good so far. And always tough. You get that first look, and maybe second time through the order you can start to do some damage. But If he keeps pitching like this, not many Yankees will get up a second time against him. Curtis has speed, not going as Girardi fouls it off 0-2.
When you talk to Yankee ball players, Yankee hitters about the Blue Jays bullpen, they all kind of shake their heads and say, man, there are a bunch of good arms down in that bullpen. And now Escobar will add to the depth of the quality arms.
Up in the Blue Jay bullpen, Paul Quantrill, who has been a very reliable pitcher for Cito Gaston this year, pitching in a variety of roles. Cito Gaston just hanging up the phone to check on Quantrill. He'll have an interesting decision if the Blue Jays take a 1-run lead to the 9th. Does he leave Escobar, who's pitching well? Does he go to Quantrill, who's been his most reliable reliever, but generally in a setup role? Or does he go to Timlin, who has been as close to a closer the Blue Jays have had, but has not been as reliable as Quantrill?
Well, once again, no matter what he does, he's got quality arms coming out of that pen. Paul Quantrill, head and shoulders, the most consistent all year long. Right now, it's difficult to take Escobar out of the game the way he's throwing. Look at the Blue Jays bullpen. In the last 9 games, they have now worked 25 2/3 and allowed just 1 earned run. That earned run was allowed by Escobar when he came in relief of Juan Guzman, his first major league inning. He walked 3 in that inning, gave up 1 run, but he was able to overcome that and eventually won the game in his first major league appearance.
Curtis the lead at first. He's got 3 steals on the season, 1 down, and a 1-2 count on Girardi. Ground ball back to the mound, not hit sharply. Escobar with a missile to second, and they turn the double play. Second inning-ending double play in 2 innings for the Blue Jays. They'll take a 1-0 lead at the bottom of the 8th.
What? Dissolution of marriage?
It's got him 1-0. The Blue Jays continue to lead on the strength of an Orlando Merced home run back in the 6th. David Cone still out there for the Yankees. We talked a little bit earlier tonight about all the tough no decisions that Cone has had this year. Leaving with leads that weren't held or leaving in tie games. Unless the Yankees can generate a little offense in the 9th, David Cone's going to leave the ballpark with a tough loss. He's given up just 4 hits, but one of them the home run to Merced. 1-1 the count on Alex Gonzalez, who was flied out and walked. He was in the middle of that 1-6-3 double play started by Escobar to end the Yankee 8th.
Now, there's the only guy that can produce a run in this ball game so far. Merced hit his 8th home run of the season off David Cone back in the 6th inning.
Out in front, 2-2. Ripped into center field, a base hit. Williams into the gap to cut it off. Lead-off single for Gonzalez in the bottom of the 8th. The Blue Jays hoping for a much-needed insurance run heading to the 9th.
Alex Gonzalez is a very good fastball hitter. And if you make a mistake with the fastball, generally he'll put the ball in play. And that time he ripped a single to start the 8th off David Cone.
Base runner with speed and a batter who can bunt pretty well. Garcia with 6 sacrifices on the season. This part of the Blue Jay order has been forced to play some little ball. Again, they don't have the big bats despite the Merced home run tonight. Gonzalez has 13 steals. Garcia squares and bunts it foul. Sunday night of baseball here on ESPN. A good one between the Mariners and the Angels. Ken Griffey Jr. 29 home runs. Leads Seattle into Anaheim against Tim Salmon and the Angels, John Miller and Reggie Jackson. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific here on ESPN. Garcia pulls the bat back here. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, now they're in a situation, if they decide to, they can give the green light to Garcia and start the runner Gonzalez at first. Now they're still bunting. Not very effectively.
Something Garcia has done a lot of over the course of his career. And probably one of the 2 things that upsets Cito Gaston more than anything. He hates when his pitchers walk batters, and he hates when his batters can't get the bunt down and execute.
Now, it's a simple play that shouldn't be that difficult. He's going to bunt again. He's going to bunt with 2 strikes, and Cohn's throw to first. Garcia started to shorten up on the bat.
Cohn ahead of ball and 2 strikes. Is a message being sent to Garcia by Gaston?
Well, I think he just wants to advance the runner here in this situation. You get the leadoff hitter on, and you have a 1-0 lead. This is something the Blue Jays haven't done well all year long. That's get extra runs when they have a lead. They can't get any insurance, and they've not been able to cash in those extra base runners.
And he is upset. Cito Gaston won't show it as visibly, but he is just as upset as Garcia strikes out, failing to bunt. Let's get an update from Bill Pito.
All right, Dan, Baltimore, Detroit. The O's, after watching Brian Hunter hit grand slam against them to tie it at 5, now go up 6-5. Sherhoff scores Ripken. The O's have since added another run, and Baltimore is now up 8-5 in the 3rd.
Well, if you're thinking about a stolen base for Gonzalez, Joe Girardi has already thrown out Otis Nixon and Sean Green here tonight. David Cohn is keeping him close. Cohn has had a lot to do with Girardi's ability to throw out those 2 base runners tonight, because he's done a good job of mixing up his moves to first.
Not going. And Nixon takes ball 1. And another throw over. Gonzalez is a young player, but does have the green light from Cito Gaston. Tried to steal 3rd with nobody out a couple of days ago and was thrown out, although he still claims he was safe. And got a long talking to in the dugout from Cito Gaston after the play, which is rare. You will not see Cito Gaston do that very often. There's a base hit in his center field. Gonzalez up to 2nd, so the Blue Jays don't have to worry about the steal that much anymore. 1st and 2nd, 1 out, bringing up Orlando Merced, who is responsible for the only run of the night. Back in the 6th, full count fastball, home run right center.
Merced and Cohn both knew it was gone immediately. Merced had a real good at bat. He fouled off several pitches before getting that fastball out over the plate, and he hammered it over the right field wall. David Cohn hands the ball over to Joe Torre, and they have made a pitching change here in the 8th inning.
Left-hander, looks like it's Graham Lloyd is going to be coming into this game to face Orlando Merced. 1-0 Blue Jays, bottom of the 8th.
They say
that's Bernard Kilkey. He's been struggling most of the year. He's got a man on, and he cranks his 8th homer of the year. Comes in the 5th. Mets now lead Florida by the score of 3-2. 5-2.
Bill, back here in Toronto, 1-0. A dejected David Cohn leaves this game with 1 out in the 8th inning. Blue Jays at 1st and 2nd on the wrong end of a 1-0 score. He pitched awfully well, but he cannot win this game. He's in danger of losing it. Left-hander Graham Lloyd has come on here. Speed on the bases for the Blue Jays, and Orlando Merced at the plate to take strike 1.
Graham Lloyd, working in his 24th game of the season, has really pitched well in his last 3 appearances. He's retired all 5 batters he has faced in those 3 games. He's kind of a specialty guy, and up here he's dealing with Orlando Merced.
You saw the runners, Gonzalez out at second and Nixon at first, each with a base hits. The inning could have been bigger for the Blue Jays had Carlos Garcia gotten the bunt down and gotten Gonzalez to second prior to the Nixon base hit. Big difference for Merced. With the runners in scoring position from 96 to 97. A club-wide problem for the Blue Jays. Last in a batting average and last in the league in a batting average with the runners in scoring position. The 2-1. Inside on him, and he swings, sends a ground ball to second. There's one. And the Yankees will turn a double play. Merced very slow getting down the line. As the inning comes to a close, Yankees down 1, heading to the 9th.
We did the right thing. We bought the...
ESPN's Major League Baseball is brought to you by the VFW. We do anything for this country.
Ninth inning at Skydome, 1-0 Blue Jays. Pinch hitter Luis Sojo is going to come up here to lead off the inning in place of Pat Kelly. Yankees with just 2 hits on the night, a Jeter double to lead off the game, and then a Tino Martinez infield single that was immediately erased on a double play. Good average for Sojo when he's gotten a chance to get in there and swing the bat. A lot of confidence being shown in young Kelvin Escobar, 21 years old, second major league appearance. Working into his 4th inning, Cito Gaston sends him out there to work the 9th with his 2 veterans, Mike Timlin and Dan Plesac, up in the pen. Escobar won at Baltimore in his major league debut last week. This is his 2nd appearance. Gonzalez gets Sojo 1 down. Kelvin Escobar threatening to win his 2nd game in 2 big league outings. The significance of this game, the Yankees chasing the Orioles, the Blue Jays chasing the Yankees. Blue Jays and the Yankees will meet again tomorrow and Sunday. And tomorrow, Pat Henkin and Andy Pettitte in a rematch of the Cy Young winner and the Cy Young runner-up from a year ago. They met back at Yankee Stadium in May.
Well, the first plateau the Blue Jays have to get to is 500, and then they can really set their sights on the Yankees.
There's Derek Jeter, a double in 3 trips. He'll look at ball 1, just low and outside. Jeter hitting .287 on the season. Wade Boggs is on deck. If one of those 2 could reach, then Bernie Williams would get a chance here in the 9th. Jeter's double, the only time all night any Yankee reached second.
There you see the bullpen. The 19 left-hander, that's Danny Plesac. The right-hander is Mike Timlin. They're both standing by. They're ready to go.
Escobar doesn't want to bring him in. 2-1. If Cito Gaston decided to go to Plesac to face Wade Boggs, who is on deck, Joe Torre could always counter with Charlie Hayes, and then you've got a switch hitter behind him and Bernie Williams. So maybe the Blue Jay move is no move at all. 2-2. Very similar to the pitch that went the other way a couple of pitches ago, and that's what Jeter is saying to Greg Kost.
Well, Jeter is asking Kost right on the corner, and Escobar really drives this fastball home right at the knees on the outside corner.
2-2. Got a piece.
Jeter with 2 strikes gets a piece of it to stay alive in this at-bat. You know, we showed you that Blue Jays are 4 games under 500. And it has simply been the strength of their pitching that has enabled them to stay there. And now with the addition of Escobar, their pitching has gotten better.
If Guzman can stay healthy. Don't forget, 3rd game of the triple-header coming up about a half hour from now. The Mariners and the Angels from Anaheim, 9th inning here in Toronto. Down and away, full count to Jeter. 96 miles an hour. Boggs looking on from the on-deck circle. Ground ball topped up the third base line, but a foul. If he's rattled, he's keeping it inside, isn't he?
Well, the only time we saw him rattled at all was in that first inning of Major League experience he had against the Orioles. He came in against Baltimore and Camden Yards, also in relief of Juan Guzman, and walked 3 batters in the inning. He eventually gave up 1 run, but after that, he settled right in and looks very comfortable working in that tough ballpark, Camden Yards.
Tonight, 3 1/3, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, and 2 big double plays, including one he started himself to end the 8th.
And now in 7 2/3 of work, Escobar has allowed just 3 hits.
Full count pitch. Jeter swung at ball 4, and he laced it over the Yankee dugout into the seats. Had to protect with a full count and went down for 1 around his ankles.
Well, with 2 strikes and you have to swing and everything close. Look how late he is on this fastball. That's down and away, and all he can do is deflect it over the Yankee dugout.
Escobar to Jeter one more time. Good at bat.
Well, I don't care who you are or what kind of team you have. When you get a well-pitched ball game, you look like a good club. And that's the way it has been for the Blue Jays. Kelvin Escobar coming in relief of Juan Guzman. 3 1/3, just the single hit. 51 pitches.
Jeter is the first Yankee hitter to see Escobar for a second time. Kelly, who hit off him in the 6th, lifted for pinch hitter Soho here in the 9th. Strike 3 call.
Second strikeout in the game for Kelvin Escobar. And it's a good fastball. O'Brien is set up on the inside corner, and Greg Koss rings up Derek Jeter. Jeter put up a valiant effort, but goes down looking.
And the Yankees are down to their final out. Wade Boggs with 2,746 career hits faces Kelvin Escobar, who's been in the major leagues for a week. Escobar misses low, 2-0. Boggs, though, struggling this season, hitting just .243. 0 for 3 tonight, has not hit the ball out of the infield. He is the last gasp for New York. If he can reach, Bernie Williams comes to the plate. Escobar trying to make it 2-0 in 2 big league appearances and even up the series at a win apiece. There's a strike. The 2-1 went around. Now the Yankees are down to their final strike. Better than 34,000 on their feet at Skydome. And they'll have to do it one more time. Now a full count, and any base runner makes this situation a whole lot more dangerous for the Blue Jays. This is not a noisy crowd at the best of times, but they are into it quite a bit right here, at least by Toronto standards. 3-2 on Boggs.
Boy, he threw him a splitter with a full count. Charlie O'Brien has quickly had a lot of confidence in Escobar's ability to throw the ball over the plate. He has caught him in both of his 2 major league appearances.
the game is over. Another win for Escobar, and the Blue Jays hang on to beat the Yankees 1-0. Guzman and Escobar combining on a 2-hitter. Boggs goes down on strikes to end the game, and this series is now even at a win apiece.
2 hits for the Yankees.